Have you ever come home, dropped your grocery bags on the counter, turned around for 2 seconds to grab your phone, and turned back to find your dog happily licking the wrapper of something you didn't even realize was within reach? That little jolt of panic, the racing thoughts of, wait, was that chocolate? Was that onion? Is my dog going to be okay? If you've felt that, you are absolutely not alone, and honestly, it happens more than you'd think, even to the most careful pet parents. What if I told you that most dogs who end up in emergency vet clinics for food poisoning didn't eat anything exotic or unusual? They ate things sitting right there in your kitchen, in your pantry, maybe even in your fruit bowl right now. You're probably thinking, come on, Dr. Vittle, is that really true? Everyday foods causing real serious harm? Surely it's just the obvious stuff like chocolate, right? Well, I promise you, it goes so much further than that. And yes, this is absolutely true. This isn't fear-mongering. This is backed by real clinical toxicology data, veterinary poison control case reports, and honestly, my own years of experience treating dogs who came in after eating things their owners had no idea were dangerous. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Vittal, and welcome back to the channel. Now here's a statistic that might genuinely shock you. Pet poison control centers receive well over 100,000 calls a year related to dogs ingesting toxic human foods, and a huge chunk of those cases involve foods that owners assumed were completely harmless. I want to say this clearly right up front. If you didn't know about some of what I'm about to share, you are not a bad pet parent. Truly. Most of this information simply isn't common knowledge. It's not printed on packaging, and honestly, a lot of it contradicts what feels intuitive. So don't beat yourself up. Just get ready to learn, because knowledge is what's going to protect your dog moving forward. Go ahead and grab a pen and notebook if you've got one nearby, because today I'm walking you through 5 foods sitting in your kitchen right now that could seriously harm or even kill your dog. I'll explain exactly why each one is dangerous in simple terms, how much is actually risky, what symptoms to watch for, and what you should do if your dog gets into one of these. So let's get into it. Let's start with the one everybody sort of knows, but very few people understand: chocolate. You probably already know chocolate is bad for dogs, but here's what most people don't realize. The danger isn't chocolate itself. It's a compound inside it called theobromine, which is a stimulant similar to caffeine. Humans metabolize theobromine quickly and efficiently, but a dog's body breaks it down incredibly slowly, which means it builds up in their system to toxic levels. And here's the part that really surprises people. Darker chocolate is dramatically more dangerous than milk chocolate because it contains far more theobromine per ounce. A single ounce of baker's chocolate can be dangerous for a small dog, while it might take several ounces of milk chocolate to cause the same effect. Symptoms usually start with vomiting and diarrhea, then progress to restlessness, rapid heart rate, tremors, and in severe cases, seizures. So here's your actionable tip. As a general safety rule, treat anything above 0.1 ounce of dark or baking chocolate per pound of your dog's body weight as an emergency level concern, and call your vet or animal poison control immediately rather than waiting to see if symptoms appear. The caveat here is important too. Don't try to induce vomiting at home unless a vet specifically instructs you to, because doing it incorrectly or with the wrong substance can actually cause more harm, like aspiration. Now let's move to the next one, and this one genuinely shocks most dog owners: grapes and raisins. If you saw the thumbnail of this video saying certain everyday foods could kill your dog, this is probably the one you didn't expect, because grapes seem so innocent, so healthy even. But here's the unsettling truth. Veterinary toxicologists still don't fully understand the exact mechanism, but we know that grapes and raisins can cause sudden, acute kidney failure in dogs, and it doesn't seem to depend on the dog's size or the amount eaten in a predictable way. Some dogs have had severe reactions after eating just a small handful, while other dogs seem unaffected. And because there's no reliable, safe amount, the only responsible approach is total avoidance. The scary part is that symptoms of kidney failure, things like lethargy, decreased appetite, vomiting, often don't show up until 18 to 24 hours after ingestion, by which point internal damage may already be underway. So here's your tip. If your dog eats even one grape or raisin, call your vet immediately. Don't wait for symptoms, because early treatment involving inducing vomiting and IV fluids within the first few hours dramatically improves outcomes. And the safety caveat here is simple but crucial. This includes foods that seem harmless, like Raisin Bran cereal, trail mix, or grape jelly. So always check ingredient labels on snacks before sharing them. Now here's something even more important, and it's one that sneaks past people constantly: onions and garlic, along with the rest of that allium family, which also includes leeks and chives. Here's the mechanism in simple terms. These foods contain compounds that damage a dog's red blood cells, causing something called oxidative hemolysis, which is basically a fancy way of saying the red blood cells get damaged and start rupturing faster than the body can replace them. Over time, this leads to anemia, and anemia means your dog's body isn't getting enough oxygen circulated properly. What's tricky here is that garlic is actually more concentrated than onion, so even small amounts matter, and this danger doesn't just come from raw onions in your salad. It hides in cooked foods too, like broths, sauces, baby food that's sometimes used to entice sick dogs to eat, and even certain seasoned rotisserie chickens. My actionable tip here: as a rule of thumb, avoid giving your dog any food containing more than a tiny trace of onion or garlic powder, and if your dog consumes roughly 0.5% of their body weight in onions, treat that as a genuine toxicity risk requiring a vet visit. The caveat: symptoms like weakness, pale gums, or orange-tinted urine might not appear for several days after ingestion, so don't assume your dog is fine just because nothing happened immediately. Let's move to the next one. And this is honestly one of the fastest-acting and most dangerous substances on this entire list: xylitol. If you're not familiar with it, xylitol is a sugar substitute found in sugar-free gum, certain peanut butters, breath mints, some baked goods, and even a few brands of toothpaste and vitamins. In humans, xylitol has almost no effect on blood sugar, which is exactly why it's marketed as a healthy sweetener. But in dogs, it triggers a rapid and massive release of insulin, which causes their blood sugar to crash, a condition called hypoglycemia, sometimes within just 10 to 30 minutes of ingestion. This isn't a slow-building issue like some of the others. This can become a life-threatening emergency almost immediately, with symptoms including sudden weakness, disorientation, vomiting, and in serious cases, seizures or even liver failure. Here's your tip. Always check the ingredient label before giving your dog any peanut butter, because more brands are quietly switching to xylitol every year. And look specifically for the word xylitol listed among the ingredients, not just sugar-free on the front label. If your dog does ingest xylitol, this is a true emergency. Get to an emergency vet immediately, because at-home monitoring is not sufficient given how fast this toxin acts. The safety caveat here is one I really want to stress. Don't assume a product is safe just because it seems like an odd place for an artificial sweetener. It's showing up in more products than ever before. Now let's move into another one that surprises a lot of people because it's marketed as this incredibly healthy superfood for humans: avocado. Avocados contain a compound called persin, and while the toxicity level varies depending on the part of the plant and the specific type of avocado, persin can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and gastrointestinal upset in dogs. But honestly, the bigger and more immediate danger with avocado isn't usually the persin itself. It's the pit. Avocado pits are large, hard, and round, which makes them a serious choking hazard and a common cause of intestinal blockages, which can require emergency surgery if the pit becomes lodged. I've personally seen cases where dogs required surgical removal simply because they swallowed a pit whole while trying to get to the flesh. My tip here: if you're preparing avocado at home, dispose of the pit somewhere your dog absolutely cannot access it, like a sealed trash bin with a locking lid rather than an open kitchen bin. And the caveat: Even a small amount of guacamole containing onion, garlic, and lime can compound the risk we already talked about earlier, so this is one of those foods where multiple dangers stack together in a single dish. Let's move to the next one, because I think this last one flies under the radar the most: fatty, greasy, and fried foods, along with cooked bones. Here's why this matters. When a dog eats something high in fat, like bacon grease, fried chicken skin, or leftover holiday ham fat, it can trigger a sudden and painful inflammation of the pancreas, called pancreatitis. In simple terms, the pancreas is an organ that helps digest food, and when it becomes inflamed, it can cause severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and in serious cases, this can become a life-threatening condition requiring hospitalization. And separately, cooked bones, especially poultry bones, become brittle and can splinter into sharp fragments that puncture the intestinal lining or cause dangerous blockages, unlike raw bones, which tend to be softer and more flexible. My tip here, as a general safety guideline, keep any fatty table scraps to less than 10% of your dog's daily caloric intake, and better yet, avoid giving fatty trimmings altogether, especially around holidays when rich foods are more common in the house. The caveat: dogs with a history of pancreatitis or breeds that are more prone to it, like miniature schnauzers, need an even stricter approach, so if your dog falls into that category, it's worth having a direct conversation with your vet about their specific fat tolerance. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to give you 2 pieces of genuinely important advice, because I don't want anyone walking away from this video and panicking or overcorrecting. First, please don't try to overhaul your dog's entire diet overnight or eliminate every single risk factor all at once out of fear. Making drastic changes too quickly can actually cause its own stomach upset. And honestly, staying calm and informed is far more effective than reacting out of panic. Second, and this is something I really want you to internalize, if your dog ever shows symptoms like repeated vomiting, lethargy that doesn't improve, pale gums, tremors, or any sign of distress after eating something questionable, please don't try to diagnose or treat it entirely on your own, using internet advice, even mine. Call your vet or an emergency animal hospital right away. Sometimes even a quick phone call to a poison control hotline can help you determine whether something requires immediate care, and that early call can genuinely make the difference between a scary night and a life-threatening emergency. So, to bring it all together, chocolate, grapes and raisins, onions and garlic, xylitol, avocado, and fatty foods and bones are hiding in plain sight in so many of our kitchens, and now you know exactly why they're dangerous, how to reduce the risk, and what warning signs to watch for. I'd genuinely love to know, which one of these surprised you the most? Was it the grapes, the xylitol, something else entirely? Let me know down in the comments, because I read every single one and I love hearing your stories and your questions. And if this video helped you feel even a little more prepared to protect your dog, it would truly mean a lot to me if you hit that like button and subscribed, because it helps this channel keep reaching worried pet parents just like you. Until next time, give your pup a little extra scratch behind the ears from me. Take care of yourselves and take care of them. This is Dr. Vital, signing off.